tackle. Elodie announced his retirement after 13 seasons. And the Super Bowl champ did it in the most epic way possible by climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, holding a flag that reads, "I'm retiring from the NFL on top." How about that?
And that was my guy, man. I tell you what, he was the ultimate protector. He was a gentle giant. I remember, playing the Cleveland Browns, and guys were diving at me and Ray's knees. Came over, stood over him, two to the face. Never had to deal with that no more. They want that smoke.
Yeah, this is a tremendous accomplishment. Over 1,000 people have made this climb. 10 people reported to have died. It takes between 5 to 9 days to be able to do it. This might be the toughest accomplishment of his career.
Wow.
Great guy.
I don't even try that far. I tell you what, he's tremendous. He was a high school rugby player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was I don't know if you ever seen that viral video. That's like 9-year-old kid just like mushing everybody.
That was him.
Yeah, that was him.
In the day.
Mushing everybody.
That's great.
By the way, that math you're trying to do right there is 141.
We're talking Cowboys.
Carried the number wrong.
Let me divide that by pop.
After a very quiet start to free agency, it appears the Dallas Cowboys may be getting into the game. Eric Berry will reportedly visit Dallas today. He needs a job. Cowboys need a safety. Berry spent most of last season on the Kansas City Chiefs bench, recovering from an Achilles tear, but he made the All-Pro team 3 of his 8 seasons in KC before that. Bart, Scott, how much would the signing help the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, when healthy, this is the best safety in the game. It's not even close. I mean, Earl Thomas is probably the closest to him, but because he's a little taller, he's a guy that can come in the box and play that dime backer. He just hasn't been able to be healthy. He's had a tremendous career. I think he's a borderline Hall of Famer. You look at what Dallas needs. Heath is a nice little player, but this would be a tremendous upgrade. And Dallas hasn't really been busy because they have to make sure that guys fall to them. They only have $24 million in salary cap space. I think they can clear some more. And the math that I was playing around with here, Nick, was with their cap number. I think they should get rid of Sean Lee, and they should cut Allen. That'll save them $11 million. Sean Lee restructure, and I'm like, why restructure? You got Banderish. That's sometimes when Jerry Jones can be a little bit too loyal, because it's time to cut the cord with Sean Lee and be able to clear up some space so you can make sure that you sign Amari Cooper, make sure that you can get DeMarcus Lawrence on a long-term deal to relieve some salary cap space so that you can sign Ezekiel Elliott, but also you can sign Dak. And Dak, that's the one that's going to hurt him, because that's the one that's going to cost them future young players.
And the other, listen, you mentioned Sean Lee. Now, Sean Lee took a reduced number. Your point is the reduced number should be 0.
Yeah.
Because you have Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. But that's maybe a little extra loyalty there. The Jason Witten thing we've talked about. $3.5 million there, $5 million there. The money all of a sudden starts to add up. The one name you didn't mention, as far as guys they need to re-sign, is Byron Jones. Now, Byron Jones has a year left on his deal. He's a 5th-year option. But unless you want to be in the same position you're in with DeMarcus Lawrence, where you got to use the franchise tag, where the players got you over a barrel, like, you want to re-sign him early. That's going to eat into your cap space. That's why a player like Eric Berry, to me, is absolutely worth the risk for Dallas. I've known Eric since he came into the league. Chris has known Eric since he was in high school. He blew out his knee, came back, made an All-Pro team. Got cancer, came back, made an All-Pro team. Popped his Achilles, and he's played in 1 full game and 2 half games since then. So there is not a player in the league right now that is a bigger health concern. But if you can get him for a couple $1 million, because he's
it'll be at least 10. It got to be incentive based.
Oh no, I would be shocked if Eric Berry gets $10 million. I think that the market for him is going to be where maybe it could be, where if he makes an All-Pro team, it jumps up a bunch. But I think his base salary would be less than $4 million.
You said it's pretty obvious the Chiefs don't think he has that much football left in him, but he's got enough to make it work for the Cowboys?
I don't think it was that. It's that they know they have to identify the other players that they got to get signed. That's why they cut Houston, because eventually they're going to have to pay Mahomes. And I've heard contracts as much as $200 million. You know what I mean? When he's going to be up, they got to pay Tyreek Hill. Now, Tyreek Hill voided that out because, with the child abuse allegations, I think you can hold that over his head, say, listen, we're not going to invest in you long term. And, so that's why they let Eric Berry go, because they need the salary cap space, because he was the highest paid safety in the game. He's not worth that now.
The point on that, just so people understand, though, he was going to be $16 million on their cap this year if he was on the team.
Yeah, if you're a legacy player for $1 million, they keep you there.
His dead money's $15 million. Yeah. Now, they can do the post-June 1st thing to where they split that up, but ultimately, it's $15 million cap dollars for cutting Eric Berry, whether it's all this year or over the next 2 years. The Chiefs think, what unfortunately I think is probably true watching him is that the Achilles injury was a de facto career ender. It then became bone spurs in his heel, but that's why I think he'd only be a couple $1 million. I think it would be a flyer a team would take, and listen, people didn't think he was going to come back from cancer. The Chiefs didn't give him a long-term contract for 2 years after he came back from the cancer because they were worried about that. He's proven people wrong time and again, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field since week 1 of 2017.
Well, we should take alarm to Kansas City releasing him because they only saved $1 million. And if the guy has meant that much to you, and I know how they feel about him as a person, he's worth just having around the team. The problem with players like Eric Berry, there's 2 problems. Where you have a resume in one place. When you go to Dallas or some other place, if you get nicked, you get hurt, it's a wrap because we don't have any history together. We don't have these years where you saw me play. So those things that you know about me, when you're playing with the organization, they become familiar with it. He's not going to have those things. And regardless of what kind of person you are, regardless of what kind of leader you are, if you cannot get on the field, Bart, and help us out as a team, we as NFL players, we don't care. We don't care how many times you've been All-Pro. We don't care. We don't care how many interceptions you are. We don't care because you're not playing right now, and guys do not listen to you as effectively when you're in the huddle saying, listen, watch it. Now, they might put a double move on us. We're going to switch to cover 2. Like, they listen compared to when you're on the sideline, you got one of them coaches things on. They just don't listen to you the same way. Right, Bart?
Absolutely. But, you know, the best ability is availability. But the fact that he finished playing the last 2 games, I know it took a long time, and I think that the bone spurs is just compensation from the Achilles tear. So I think he's out of the safe zone now where he can be healthy and be able to move forward. I mean, I've seen Terrell Suggs towards Achilles twice and came back. He's an older player, and he's still effective. So I think Eric Berry still has a lot of football ahead of him. He's going to have to change a little bit about how he plays and how he prepares himself. But I think he can help this team get to the next level to get over the hump because they're in the window, but that window's closing because all those linemen that they had, they're starting to pay, and those cap numbers are starting to come and hit. And now they got to pay the toll.
See, the point you made about if you're with a different team than the one you came up with, they're not going to be as patient with you. That's the Ray Lewis story at the end, right? Ray Lewis tore his bicep. And any other team would have probably said, listen, we got to put you on IR. He had the credibility with that organization to say, I can come back at the end. Yes. And because he was...
Michael Strahan, last time they won the Super Bowl. Mike was not healthy throughout that season.
But who was hurt more in their career than Fred Taylor? Fred Taylor was hurt all the time in Jacksonville. Went up later in his career, figured things out, and got healthy and stayed healthy for New England and helped them be successful. So players can be injured and go. Sometimes you go through these spurts where you're injured 1 or 2 years, and then you figure it out. I think he's out of the danger zone.
All right, Bart, thanks for joining us.
That's it.
But
I love that suit, by the way, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You can hang out with us, but just off camera, like right
Balling on the budget. I gotta
Coming
sell
up,
tacos
who should the Lakers pair with LeBron this summer? That's next on First Things First.
Taco Tuesday, bro.
No doubt. Extra cheese.
Man, you got some juices and berries in your hair, man.
That's coconut oil, baby. Don't be hating.